Namaskar friends, welcome to lesson number 19 or session number 19 in our course on processing of polymers and polymer composites. Just to have a brief review of what we have discussed, currently we are focusing on processing techniques that are used for processing of polymer based composites. Till our discussion in session 13, our focus was primarily on polymers. And in polymers, if you remember, we have seen that there are three important steps or stages for every process. For polymers, we have seen there are different techniques, for example, thermoforming, compression molding, injection molding, rotational molding, transfer molding, and there were three common steps followed there. What were the three common steps? Heating or melting of the polymer, then deforming the polymer as per the required shape, and finally cooling of the polymer. Similarly, now for polymer composites also we are seeing, at least we have seen two different processes that are used for making composite parts. We have tried to understand these processes with freely available YouTube videos. We have seen the hand layup process, which is the most primitive, most simplistic type of process used for making of parts or composite parts, and then we have seen the spray layup process. So hand layup process and spray layup process already we have covered for polymer composites. Now I want to emphasize that what is happening in case of polymer composites. Both the processes that we have covered are majorly used for thermosetting type of plastic materials. That is, the polymer is available in the gel or the viscous form. So what we do, we prepare a mixture of a polymer, we add hardener into the base polymer, and then we stir it, we try to remove all the air bubbles, etc., and then we apply it on the fibers. So that heating, melting, deforming, cooling, all these steps are not common in polymer based composites. In composites we are seeing that we lay up and then we apply the polymer. The polymer is available in the viscous form, and that is there why? Because we are using a thermosetting type of polymer. Also we have thermoplastics which are available in the pellet form or the granule form or the powdered form. So we will see today that in compression molding we can make use of the thermoplastics also, where the things remain common. What we have to do? We have to heat, we have to melt, and then we have to deform, and finally we have to cool. So in case of thermoplastics, majorly we will see that we have to follow the same steps as we have followed in case of polymers. In polymers we have seen during the extrusion process. I am taking one example of extrusion. What we do? We put the polymer or the pellets in the hopper, and from hopper they come into the barrel. Through the screw they are heated, as well as through the heating arrangement around the barrel, the heat is supplied. Through the screw they are pushed forward. The screw has different zones, and when it is in the molten state, it is pushed with the application of the force by the screw into the mold cavity. Or in case of injection molding, into the mold cavity, I have taken an example of a extrusion process through a die, and the shape of the die will directly be duplicated on the composite part. And one of the examples that we have covered was the gardener's pipe, the plastic pipe that the gardeners usually use for watering the plants. So that is made by the extrusion process. So what is happening? Raw material is fed, heating, melting, and then deforming as per the shape of the die, and finally cooling after the product has come out from the die. So those things will remain common in case of composites also. Only addition will be that we have to now incorporate fibers in the polymer, and therefore we call them as the polymer composites. So the basic principle that we have understood till today of processing of polymers will be applied similarly in polymer composites also, with little modification that how the fibers will be incorporated into the polymer. That is the only addition that we have to understand here. And compression molding, why I have taken this discussion in the beginning of today's session. First, because whatever processes we have covered till today, the last two processes, hand layup process and the spray layup process, both processes are mostly applied for thermosetting based polymers, but compression molding has the ability to be used for both the thermosetting type of polymers as well as for the thermoplastics also. And for thermoplastics the steps almost are same, that is heating, melting, deforming and finally cooling. So we will see the process with the help of a diagram also, but this discussion was important because there may be a doubt or there may be a question that how the processing techniques or technology is different for polymer composites as compared to the nascent or the neat polymers. So the difference is in polymer composites we have to think, we have to use our mental faculties to find out that how best we can incorporate our fibers into the polymer. That is the only challenge that we have to answer or that we have to address. Otherwise the basic molding of the plastic or molding of the thermoplastic will remain, the steps will remain almost same. So let us now quickly go through the process of compression molding. It is an advanced version we can say of the hand layup process, but in this case we have better dimensional control. Why? Because this is a closed mold process. Sorry, on your screen you can see compression molding is a closed mold process. We have seen till today two processes, that is the hand layup process as well as we have seen the spray layup process. Both are open mold processes, but compression molding gives us better dimensional control over the composite part and it is falling under the closed mold process. Let us quickly try to understand the basic fundamentals or the fundamentals of compression molding process. Compression molding is a well known and one of the oldest technique to develop the variety of composite products. So it is also well established, commercially available machines are there which are used for compression molding process. So compression molding is a well known and one of the oldest technique. It is a high pressure closed molding process. So here we can control the pressure also. If you remember in case of hand layup how the pressure was being applied, the pressure was being applied by closing the two halves of the mold, and in our case the example that we have taken, two flat plate molds were there and by nut and bolt fastening mechanism we were applying the pressure. So the pressure is not automatic, pressure is applied manually, and sometimes also after doing a flat plate molding we apply a dead weight on the top half of the mold in order to apply the pressure. But here we can control the pressure all around the mold and we can see how much pressure is acting on our laminate or the composite part being manufactured. So it is a high pressure process. We have to apply lot of pressure. The consolidation is quite strong in this case. Process is suitable for small to medium size parts. As we have seen in hand layup and spray layup process, size is not a limitation. If you remember in spray layup process we have seen a big boat, marine boat can be made by spray layup. But in this case, as we are using a compression molding machine, the machine will always have its limitation. There will definitely be a X, Y and Z coordinate according to which we can decide the maximum size of the product that we can make. So X, Y and Z coordinate will be the coordinates of the mold or the maximum coordinates of the mold that can be used to fabricate a composite part in the compression molding machine. So the major part in case of compression molding machine will be the mold, and in mold we have dimensions, that is there are limitations that what can be the maximum size of the mold that can be used for that particular process or that particular machine. So small to medium size parts can be made, simple to complex shapes can be produced easily. Now why complex shapes? Because it is a high pressure molding technique. So when high pressure is there we can always make a complex geometry. So that is one thing which is advantageous in case of compression molding machine. Generally hydraulic mechanism is used for the application of pressure in compression molding. Now we have seen that it is a high pressure process. How we will apply the pressure? The pressure will be applied with the help of a hydraulic mechanism. So we will try to understand this with the help of a figure also. What can be the raw materials that can be used? So basically two types of raw materials or two types of constituents are there. The first one is a reinforcing material, that is glass fiber, carbon fiber, aramid fiber. So natural plant fibers can be there like sisal, banana, nettle, hemp, flax, etc. All these fibers may be in the form of unidirectional mat, bidirectional, stitched into a fabric form, mat of a randomly oriented fiber, short fibers, chopped fibers. So if you remember, in the last two processes we have seen, in case of hand layer process, majorly we will use woven mat type of reinforcement, that is mat type in which fibers are there in x direction also, as well as in the transverse as well as longitudinal, warp and weft in the longitudinal and the transverse direction. Basically both the directions, like this, fibers are running in this direction also, fibers are running in this direction also. So fibers are in both the direction. In spray layup we have seen the fiber is coming from the roving, and in the spray gun it is being chopped into small fibers. So hand layup for majorly for continuous fibers, spray layup majorly for small fibers, but compression molding both type of fibers can be used. We can have continuous fibers also, we can have small fibers also. So you can see, again I am reading, we can use synthetic fibers also, we can use natural fibers also. That is one classification. Then all these fibers can be in the form of unidirectional mat, all fibers running in one direction only, unidirectional mat, bidirectional or woven mat, stitched in the fabric form as I have already explained, or mat of oriented fibers, short fibers or chopped fibers. So that chopped and short fibers also must be available in the form of a mat, because we have to put it in the mold and then we have to apply our apply our matrix, which can be either a thermosetting matrix. If it is thermosetting, as we have seen in the video for hand layer process, we have to apply it by hand, and we have to it will be a viscous fluid or it will be a liquid form of reinforcement in case of thermosetting polymer. But in case of a thermoplastic, it will be in the form of pellets. So we can sprinkle those pellets and then apply the pressure, or we can convert those pellets into a thin film and we can place that thin film over this mat of fibers, and then we can put another mat of fibers and then we can place another film of polymer, and then this laminate or this laid up thing we can apply the pressure, the polymer will melt, especially in case of thermoplastic composite, and will impregnate the fibers, and we will get our composite part which will have fibers also, which will have polymer also. We will try to understand this with the help of a diagram, but first, before going to the process, let us try to understand the constituents. The first constituent was the reinforcement, second constituent is the matrix. Now matrix can both be thermosetting as well as thermoplastic. You know all the examples. Thermosetting can be epoxy, polyester, polyvinyl ester, similar to what we have already seen in hand layer process and spray layer process. Similarly, in thermoplastic we can use polypropylene, polyethylene, and sometimes we can also go for biodegradable polymers such as polylactic acid, soya based plastics or starch based polymers. So we can use both, we can use thermosetting type of polymers also, we can use thermoplastic type of polymers also. Now let us see the step by step procedure, that how the process will evolve. First we have to as I have already told, the main part or main constituent or component of the compression molding machine is the mold or the die cavity. So two matched metal molds are used to fabricate the composite product. The major point here to address is the shape of the mold. Size we have already seen, small to medium, so the mold will not be of very large size, so mold will be of small to medium size, but the shape is important. The shape of the mold should conform to, should be the exact replica or the duplicate of the final product that we want to make. Suppose we want to make a flat plate or sheet, the mold should be flat plate mold. If we want to make a 3D geometry, the mold should be the exact replica of that geometry, so that our final product that comes out conforms to the final shape of the composite product that we are planning to design and develop. Now first thing is, the mold will be two part. two half mold. So one half will be the base, another half will be the movable half. So that we will try to see with the help of a figure. So two matched metal molds are used to fabricate the composite product. So the total mold will be split type of mold in two halves. Base plate is stationary while the upper plate is movable. So there are two halves, one half will be stationary, other half will move up and down with the help of a hydraulic plunger. Reinforcement and matrix. So in our case we are focusing on polymer composites, as all of you know. So our case reinforcement will be fibrous reinforcement or in the form of fibers. It can be continuous fibers in the form of woven mat, or it can be short fibers in the form of a mat, but there has to be some bonding between the short fibers also, so that we are able to place them as in the mat form inside the mold cavity. So the reinforcement will be fibrous and the matrix will be polymeric or polymer. So we can have thermosetting as well as thermoplastic. If it is a thermosetting, it will be available in viscous form. We have to apply it with the help of a brush. If it is a thermoplastic, it will be available either in the pellet form or in a film form. So depending upon the availability, we will take our thermoplastic polymer and we will apply it on the fiber or the layer of the fiber. Then we will stack up the different layers depending upon the final product that we want to make. It can be maybe 0.5 centimeter thick or maybe 5 millimeter thick, it can be 8 millimeter thick, it can be 1 centimeter thick or 10 millimeter thick. That decision we have to make based on the design requirement. So based on that we will lay different layers one by one, and accordingly we will get the desired thickness. So the reinforcement is fibers, matrix is polymer. Both are placed in the metallic mold and the whole assembly is kept in between the compression molder. Now the compression molder, from here the meaning is the plungers that apply pressure on the laminate that we are trying to make in the mold cavity. So the reinforcement and matrix, so what is desirable, whatever raw material we want to make, we will put it in the mold cavity, in one half of the mold cavity. The top half will come and will apply pressure. This mold cavity will have heat from all the direction, so it will be a heated mold. So we can apply heat from bottom, top and even from the sideways also. So there will be heat that is supplied to the mold, there is a pressure that is acting on the mold, and finally by the application of heat and pressure we will be able to produce our composite part. So is kept in between the compression molder. Heat and pressure is applied, as I have already highlighted, as per the requirement for a defined period of time. Third thing that I have missed was the period of time. So there has to be a time domain also. So we have two important things here. One is the pressure, another one is the heat, and the third part is the time, holding time usually we call it, that for how long the material is there inside the mold cavity. So the material placed in between the molding plate flows due to the application of pressure and the heat and acquires the shape of the mold cavity with high dimensional accuracy, which depends upon the mold design. As I have highlighted, the product that we will get will be having high dimensional accuracy, high dimensional stability as compared to the product made by the hand layup process. So this is an extension of the hand layup process. And the material will flow. Why it will flow? Because of the application of heat. If it is a thermoplastic material, as I have already told, there are three steps only. First is heating, melting and then cooling. 3 steps only. So when you are using a thermoplastic inside a compression molding machine, if you supply the heat, the polymer will melt and it will spread all around the fibers, impregnate the fibers, and finally we will get a composite product. If it is a thermoset, it is available in the gel form. We will apply the gel, keep it under temperature and pressure, and it will solidify. Why it will solidify? Just give a thought over it. In case of thermoplastic, we have seen how the product is made: injection molding, compression molding, transfer molding. Transfer molding is majorly used for thermosetting polymers, but injection molding, extrusion are used for thermoplastics. So how it solidifies? We take the polymer pellet, we put it into the barrel, it is heated through the screw, we feed it through the die, the product comes out and it is cooled. and it has already solidified. Whereas in case of thermoplastics, whereas in case of thermosets, how it will solidify? It is in the gel form. So I think the answer must have come to your minds that why a thermoset will solidify, how thermosets usually cure. If you remember, in our spray gun, in our chopper gun, in case of spray layup process, what were the three ingredients that were entering into the gun? If you just give a thought over it, you will get the answer. There was one constituent, that was fiber roving. A fiber is entering and in between it is getting chopped into small fibers. The other was the resin or the polymer or the thermosetting resin that is entering. On top of the gun there was a catalyst, there was a hardener. So this hardener or the catalyst reacts with the polymer and the polymerization or curing takes place, which solidifies the polymer and it takes a solid or a rigid shape. So that is the important point to be taken care of. In compression molding also, when we apply heat, when we apply pressure, the hardener and the resin will react and they will become solid or they will become rigid and we will get our composite product. So that is an important difference between the solidification of a thermosetting resin and solidification of a thermoplastic resin. So thermosetting will solidify because of the reaction between the catalyst and the polymer, and thermoplastic will solidify because we have melted the polymer, we have deformed it, and finally when we cool it, it solidifies to take a solid shape. So that is the layman's definition of how the solidification takes place. Otherwise we can go into the material science aspects, the chemistry of the thermosetting polymers and the chemistry of the thermoplastic polymers, and try to see that how the chains behave under different conditions and how the solidification takes place. But currently our focus is on the processing techniques for these polymers. Therefore we are restricting our discussion to on the macro scale only, and we are trying to understand that how a thermosetting polymer cures and how a thermoplastic molds or thermoplastic, the curing term is mostly used for thermosetting resin. So in this case we will say how the thermoplastic can be molded and it can be solidified. So there is a difference in compression molding. Why I am giving emphasis on this thing again and again? Because we can use both. We can use a thermosetting polymer also, we can use a thermoplastic also. If it is a thermosetting type of polymer, we will first do the layup. We can do it outside the machine also. We can do the layup on the table, work table or workbench. We can have different, we can take a mold, we can lay up as we do in hand layup process. We can put one layer of fiber, then we can apply the resin or the polymer, another layer, apply the resin, another layer, apply the resin, and before doing this layup we will prepare our polymer. We will add the requisite amount of hardener, stir it properly to release any kind of air entrapment or bubbles, and then this mixture of hardener and polymer or resin, or we can say epoxy and hardener, we will apply it on the polymer. Then this laid up laminate we will take and we can put it inside the compression molding machine, and then we can apply the pressure and we can give heat from all the directions, and finally the curing process will take place for the thermosetting type of polymer. In case of thermoplastics, we can do the layup inside the mold only, we can apply the pressure and the heat, and because of the heat the thin film or the pellets of the polymer or thermoplastic polymer will melt and they will impregnate the fibers and finally they will solidify. We have to cool the mold, and when the cooling cycle has been completed, we can take out the composite part from the compression molding machine. So that we need to understand the difference in the procedure when we are using a thermosetting polymer and while we are using a thermoplastic polymer. The material placed between the molding plate flows due to the application of pressure and heat and acquires the shape of the mold cavity with high dimensional accuracy, which depends upon the mold design. So the final surface finish of the product will depend upon the surface finish of the mold cavity. Curing may be carried out either at room temperature or at an elevated temperature, specifically for thermosetting type of polymers. After curing, the mold is opened and composite product is removed for further processing. Further processing may involve trimming up of the edges if there is a formation of flash. Sometimes we may go for heat treatment of the product that we have made. Sometimes we may be required to cut a particular section inside the product that we have made. So that will come under all these steps will come under the further processing. Now on your screen you can see there is a most simple type of diagram that we can see or that we can make for a compression molding machine. There is a movable part. This is the upper mold plate, this part, and you can see this shape that I am emphasizing is the exact duplicate of this shape. So we can see what type of product we will get. This is the compound to be molded, as I have told you. Specifically in case of thermosetting type of polymer, we can do the layup on a workbench and then bring that layup and put it inside the mold cavity. So that is the raw material. This blue portion, flat plate, can be called as the raw material. Now what we have to do, we have to control three important parameters. Parameter number 1 is the pressure that we want to apply. Parameter number 2 is the heat that we want to apply, and the parameter number 3 is the duration for which we will keep our two plates or two mold halves closed position, in the closed position. So you can see this is movable upper plate mold. These are the guide pins. The guide pins will help us in the exact engagement of the two halves of the mold, the top half of the mold, the bottom half of the mold, and we can just bring this down, and this is a hydraulic plunger. This will move down and will close the mold, and this particular plate or the raw material will take the shape of the mold, and finally we will get our product. Some of you may be wondering that why this hydraulic plunger has been put at the bottom mold half. So there is always a tendency of the composite product sticking to the mold cavity, and if you remember in both the previous processes, that is the hand layer process as well as the spray layer process, we have introduced a concept of release gel or a release gel spray on the mold cavity. So before doing the layup, we have to spray the release gel on the mold so that our product do not stick to the mold cavity. But still, if the product sticks to the mold cavity, we have a hydraulic plunger arrangement which will give a little tap to the product and it will be popped out of the mold cavity. And similar type of concept, if you remember, we have seen in the injection molding setup also, that we have covered for polymers. So we have seen during injection molding also there are two ejector pins which give a slight tap to the composite part or to the plastic part that has been made, and it pops out of the mold cavity. So similarly here a hydraulic plunger can help us to remove our product or the final product from the mold even if it sticks to the mold cavity. So I think the process is very clear to all of you. The mold is divided into two halves. There is a bottom half and there is a top half. Bottom half usually is stationary, top half is movable. Top half will apply the pressure, so this will be operated hydraulically. We will put our raw material, suppose this is the raw material, we will put our raw material in the bottom half of the mold. The top half of the mold will come down and it will close the mold and apply the pressure. As per the cavity generated between the bottom and the top half of the mold, the product will take the shape. Once the cooling cycle is over, the top half of the mold will move up. The product may stick to the bottom half of the mold. There will be a plunger which will just give a slight tap to the material, just a slight tap, and it will be popping out of the bottom half of the mold. This is the most simplistic explanation for a compression molding process. Three things we can control here. First thing is the pressure that we apply. The second thing is the heating arrangement in the mold, and the third thing is the time for which the two halves of the mold will remain closed. So if we judiciously select these three parameters, we will be very easily able to make a very good composite product. But these are not the only three parameters that we need to take into account. In compression molding, there are so many other parameters that we need to take into account, which we will see in our subsequent slides. So the controlling parameters in compression molding method for developing superior and desired properties of the composite product are, so as I have already told you, mold heating rate, mold cooling rate, maximum applicable pressure, compression rate, curing time. Now compression rate, just we can compress it like this also, and we can compress it very slowly. So both will have its effect on the properties of the composite or the developed composite. Similarly, we can increase the temperature at a very sharp gradient, or we can slowly increase the temperature, that is the heating rate. Similarly, the cooling rate. If for metals, usually we see there are time temperature transformation TTT curves, and which affects the metallurgy of the product that we have developed. Similarly, in this case also, the heating rate and the cooling rate will definitely affect the properties of the final product that we get. So the parameters that we need to control are the heating rate, cooling rate, the maximum temperature, the maximum pressure that we are applying, the cooling time for which the mold is remaining closed, thickness of the part that we want to produce, position of raw material in the mold. In our diagram we can see where we have placed our raw material. We could have tried to place it at the bottom face of the mold also, but we have placed it slightly on the higher side. So this may also, the positioning of the raw material inside the mold cavity may also affect the properties of the final product. Similarly, the mold area with respect to the area of the raw material, because the raw material has to spread and it has to fill the mold cavity completely. So the positioning of the mold the material is important, as well as the ratio of the mold area to the raw area of the raw material is equally important. Similarly, the mold material is also important, because we have to supply heat to our constituents that are there in the mold cavity. So that the material should have the adequate, you can say, thermal properties in order to properly heat the constituents inside the mold cavity. So the mold material is also very important. But three major parameters that are important are the time, the pressure and the temperature. So we have to supply heat, so therefore temperature is important. We have to cool it, time is important, and we have to apply the pressure. We have to consolidate our composite product, therefore the pressure is very important. Now coming on to what are the advantages of this process. Advantages, as you can see on your screen, production rate is high as the mold cycle time is in few minutes. If you remember, in hand layer process we have seen the cycle time is very large. It may take maybe 1 day to make a product, but here we see the product can be made in few minutes only. So therefore the production rate of compression molding is higher as compared to the hand layer process. Good surface finish with different texture and styling can be achieved. So that is, as I have told you, in hand layer process also, why do we do grinding on the two inner side mold halves? So we do grinding in order to produce good surface finish. In this case also, as we have the closed mold, there the product is being compressed or application of pressure from all dimensions. So if the outer surface of the product will be very good. Why? Because surface finish of the mold, which is a metallic mold, will be duplicated or will be transferred to the surface of the composite product. High part uniformity is achieved with compression molding, so that we have seen part uniformity is good, dimensional stability is good, surface finish of the product is good, good flexibility in part design is possible. So flexibility is possible because we can change the mold and make a different product. Extra features like inserts, bosses and attachments can be molded in during the processing. As we have seen that we have to keep our raw material inside the mold cavity. If some inserts and other additional components or equipment have to be put inside the final product, we can place it at its desired position and then apply the pressure. So that extra features like inserts, bosses and fasteners can easily be put inside the Final product, raw material wastage is minimum, closed mold process, so there is no flow of material outside the mold, so requisite amount of charge or requisite amount of material will only be used as a input in the mold cavity. Maintenance cost is low, residual stresses are absent or negligible in molded component, which is also very important. Twisting and shrinkage in product is reduced, therefore dimensional accuracy is good. I have already highlighted this point. When you use a closed mold process, the dimensional stability achieved is very good, or the dimensional accuracy is good. Residual stresses are absent. What are the limitations now? Limitations, as you can see, due to the expensive machinery and parts, the initial capital investment is high. If, as we have seen in case of hand layer process, the tooling cost is low. In spray layer process also tooling cost is low, but in compression molding the cost of equipment is high. Why? Because we have to apply temperature, we have to have heating arrangement, we have to control the heating arrangement also, because different polymers will have different melting temperature, they will have different glass transition temperature, so we have to control the heat input, therefore the temperature control is required. Another thing that we control is the pressure. So for pressure control we need to have a hydraulic arrangement, therefore the equipment is slightly costly. The process is suitable for high production volume only. It is not economical for making small number of parts or for prototyping applications. Since the initial capital investment is considerably high, so the process is not suitable for small batch sizes. It is suitable for large volume production only. It is labor intensive process. As I have told you that the layup for thermosetting type of composite parts can be made on a workbench, so manual intervention is also there in case of compression molding process, not a fully automatic process. Sometimes secondary processing, that is trimming of the product, is required after compression molding, that I have already highlighted, because this is a two mold half process. So the product, when it is raw material, when it is put inside the two halves of the mold, and when the two halves of the mold close and we apply lot of pressure there, the raw material sometimes flow out through the parting line between the two mold halves, and there may be generation of little bit of flash, which we can trim off at a later stage. Sometimes uneven parting lines are there, so that is a challenging task. The uniform application of pressure then becomes slightly challenging. There is a limitation on the mold depth. In order to have uniform properties, uniform distribution of properties across the thickness of the product, we cannot go for a very large depth in case of compression molded parts. So usually we will say the products like trays and flat products are usually made by the compression molding process, so the depth is limited. Applications, as I have already highlighted one application, let us see what are the other applications. So method is equally applicable for both thermosetting and thermoplastic polymer based composite products. I think I have given lot of emphasis on this aspect today. Application spectrum ranging from kitchen goods to automobiles, toys, electrical and aeroplane parts. So different parts are made by compression molding process. To be very specific, in automobile panels, roofs, life gates, battery trays, fenders, hoods, bumpers, spoilers, air deflectors, furniture, kitchen bowls and trays, dinnerware, buttons, large containers, medical devices can be made using the compression molding process. If you see most of the application, the depth is not that much. Usually flat products are made, flat geometries are made using the compression molding process. So with this we come to the end of our discussion on compression molding process specifically for composite products. In the next session we will address another process which is used for processing of polymer composites. Thank you.